Thank you for joining us again for another episode. We have a great interview today. I want to welcome on Brock J., one of our founders of Unleash Independence. Hello, Brock. Thanks for coming on.
Hello, Cameron. Thanks for putting this together.
And then our special guest is Patrea Patrick. She is a well, let me have her do the introduction. Patrea, thanks for coming on today.
My pleasure. I'm a filmmaker, and I have got a lot to say, and we're going to do that today.
Great. Well, we wanted to have you on to talk about your new film out, The American Empire, an Act of Collective Madness. I got that right, correct?
Absolutely. It is an act of collective madness, what is going on and the direction we're going with our freedoms and our rights in this country.
We want to get in and play a part of our trailer that you have. But first, before we do that, can you tell a little bit about what to expect?
Yes, we're going to be talking about the institutions of money, the institutions of community, what's going on with our food, our water, basically our freedom, and how these all connect. This is probably what's the beauty of the film American Empire, is that it connects the dots so that we understand what's going on. And I think it's something. I'm from Hollywood, and I hadn't seen anybody put a film together like this. And after putting one together, I feel that we've really got to get it out there and show it to the people. But it's time. It's time for this kind of film to be out there. So somebody needed to do it. I'm glad that I was the one to do it. But we have a short window of time, so we need to act now.
Well, without taking too much time, let's go ahead and get right into that. So here is the trailer for The American Empire, an Act of Collective Madness.
The United States today occupies a unique position in the history of the world. It is the only empire that exists. This is the first time in recorded history that it has ever happened that there is only one country, one empire.
It's sadly ironic that this nation has become such an empire.
We in the United States don't realize that our corporations have created this very subtle, very clandestine empire.
The American empire is really in many ways killing the planet.
The definition of empire didn't change. The definition of American did.
In only 200 years, we've lost our freedom, and we've gone from a nation on the way to the most fantastic ideals to a country leading the world in deceit.
Who owns this country? Rich and the very rich.
The Federal Reserve System is not a government agency at all. What is it? It's a cartel.
It's obviously a corrupt system.
I think the crisis coming is going to make the 1930s look like a picnic.
If we keep going where we're going, it really is off a cliff. It's off a cliff environmentally, it's off a cliff socially, it's off a cliff as far as poverty and wealth, and definitely off a cliff as far as any real democratic control.
Power is concentrating. We are undermining our ecological systems. You might even call it ecocide that we're committing.
In whose interest is it that we eat the way that we are? Who's profiting from this and why?
We're making changes where we have completely no idea of the consequences.
We are living in a chemical-controlled country.
There's a merger between commercial interests and political interests.
The merger of state and corporate powers, too big to fail, and the rest of us are too small to save.
It reflects an act of collective madness.
No rational person assumes that we can continue on this course.
We have a government that right now can shut down the internet. That's dictatorship.
The empire is unveiling itself.
If one group of people has control over society, we call it dictatorship.
Because of the Patriot Act, policemen coming to your house, and they don't need the order of a judge.
It's a dictatorship over the earth.
All right, so after watching this trailer, very very inspirational. It's amazing. It really stirs up a lot of emotions for me personally. I want to ask you, why did you decide to do this? What motivated you?
Well, I'm an American, and I want to live free. I believe in the Constitution. I can't sit by and see it being piece by piece dismantled and chipped away. I don't think people understand how our freedoms are being chipped away, what's the mechanism to do that, and our rights as individuals are being tampered with in the most dramatic ways, and this is probably the most important time in our lifetime, what we're seeing happening now, that we actually have, an opportunity to do something about it before it's too late. So the biggest thing is it's an American issue. It's not a Republican issue or a Democratic issue. It's not a political issue. We don't want to keep ourselves separate by all of the different issues. We want to realize they are connected. And I think our film puts that together. It seamlessly connects the dots so that we understand that our agriculture, our infrastructure, our property taxes, our food independence, our community values, our energy, our government, our freedom are all being brought to question at this time. And they have been for a long time, but now with the beauty of the internet and more documentaries on the subject, there's an awareness. So this is our window of opportunity.
What do you see as being the solution? Well, first off, let's maybe address some of these issues that you're talking about. What issues does the documentary go over and discuss?
Well, we talk about the whole government corporate ties. Now, this right there is the first thing that's leading us down a path, this corporatocracy, to losing our freedom. And people don't see it, and as a matter of fact, people buy into it. People are waiting in line at these big box market stores and these, big franchises hand their money to these people who are, corporatizing our life away. And so if we can see that, what does corporatocracy look like? That's what we have to do. We can empower ourselves. So, it's not like that you don't want to spend money or buy things, that's right, but how do you know which things are things that are, helping our country and which things are hurting our country? For an example, let's say food. If we're buying all of our food and it's all imported, then we're not doing anything to secure our community's sustainability. That is one of the biggest issues we face. We've allowed the corporations to entice us and turn us into consumers, therefore taking away our freedom to be able to even produce food in our community so that we can have security. So, if there is some disaster or something, we can have local food. The danger in not having local food is that these prices can be controlled, the quality of food can be controlled, and the availability of food can be controlled. And Thomas Jefferson, when he was president, Thomas Jefferson made sure that we had food in our country. He gave out billion bags of seeds to peoples and to farmers and to homesteaders everywhere to make sure that people did have food. It's the biggest thing that we need. We need food every day. We need water every day. And these things.
So what your point is you're saying when you go to a big box store, not naming anything, but you look at your cereal brand and it says Heart Healthy Choice, you might disagree with that. And that it's better to work on a community level then.
Yeah, I think so, because what I'm saying is when you have a big box store in control, you are only going to be able to buy the food that is in that big box store. And most of the times that isn't organic food, most of the time it isn't local food, and most of the time it isn't quality food. And by letting monoculture take over our agriculture, it's made it so that our food is it's nutritionless. The quality of our food has gone downhill, and the chemical content in our food has risen so high that in some cases there are more herbicides in our food than there are vitamins. And we used to have high quality food, but we're not replacing and replenishing the soil is what we need to be doing. And because we don't do this in our communities, because food is grown somewhere else, sometimes even overseas, we have no idea who's growing it, how it's being grown, chemicals thrown in there, the soil quality, the quality of the food. We're paying for it in our health. You're seeing more people getting autism and cancer and heart disease and strokes and diabetes because they aren't getting quality food. So yeah, you go into a big box store and you buy something out of a box, you better watch out. You don't know what's in it, how it was grown, where it was grown, or the amount of chemicals in it. And they ought to be labeling this like they label the vitamins. That you look in there and it's like, oh, little 0.5 of vitamin something or another. That's a very minute thing, a little tiny bit of vitamin they can, say is in there in the nutritional list. But if they were saying how much pesticide was in there, it would be huge. It'd be like, 5% pesticide or something. But they have talked the FDA into saying, well, because it's we need to have that in the soil and we need to spray that on there. We're not really calling it an additive, so we don't have to mention it on the label. And that is the biggest fallacy we're facing in this country today. Our food is toxic and poison. Our money and our food are worthless.
So Patrea, when you're talking about these corporations and things like that and all the bad things in food, I fully agree. I think it's people rely too much on these big companies. So what do you think the cause is of that? For all the people you interviewed for your movie, what do you think the cause of all that is?
Oh, boils down to money, profits, control. And until we understand that, we're not going to have the control of our food or our economy, and we're not going to have, very shortly, we're not going to have the opportunity to even do anything about it. And that will just become the new normal. And so it's very important that we get out there and educate, especially kids.
When we were talking earlier, your message was really inspiring because, Unleash Independence is pushing the independence of the individual. And with what your message of community, working together and having individual communities, I think that's really what is truest sustainability. And so do you have anything to speak to that?
Yes, I would say, it's real easy to get us away from our community by having everything in these big box stores. By the way, the big banks, the big economy, big corporatocracy, so that we're losing our communities and we don't see it. We don't even realize, what community means anymore. But community means the local sustainability, the local structure in your area where you're actually able to walk to. I mean, when it comes down to it, if there's a problem, like gas is too high and you can't drive somewhere, how are you going to feed your family? Well, that should be something that is secured in your community. So that's what your community is first. That if it comes down to it and I have some food and you have some gas, that we can barter. We know each other well enough. We trust each other. We can do stuff in our community, and we won't be held back, and we can survive any calamity with community. If we are smart, we'll pull back and start thinking about doing things in our community, doing things locally. And it is a big challenge. And how are we going to do that? You got to push these big box stores out they pushed their way in. You know, this was not the norm. They planned to come in and take over so that they had the only game in town. And when we don't take it back, we don't get our community back, we're setting ourselves up for a time when, you know, there's always going to be some catastrophe, but mainly you want prices to be affordable. You know, I mean, for energy, for our electricity, for our very needs of life need to be affordable. And as we move out of the community and go on more of this global plan, we're setting ourselves up to be without and to be what I want to call economic slaves, you know, to this bigger thing instead of this localer thing where we have control and we're actually keeping the money and keeping our money in our town. We need to know what this entity looks like. You know, how is this coming down? And it's a very deep subject. So in just a few minutes, at least we can entice people to go and read some of the books and find out about this. There's a great one called The Green Mask, which, you know, people should read. But what's really happening is the sustainability is a good thing. And we want to do that. I mean, you want to do that. I want to be sustainable. I want to care for the environment. I don't want to do anything. Matter of fact, there's big laws that I can't do anything. But the point is that these people have taken over and usurped the word sustainability to mean something different. So they start making green products like, oh, that's sustainable. And then they come in and start enforcing things in your community, on your property taxes, in, you know, oh, you're using too much energy, and, you know, starting to do the smart meter, starting to observe how much energy you are using. That puts these people in control to see how much power you're using, to adjust the cost of it anytime they want, to have the only source of energy that there is available, and to actually have the power to turn that off. We do have some work ahead of us to be empowered, but the bright and good side is there are a lot of people who are really excited to jump on board, and there are great people doing things like one of your other guests, G. Edward Griffin. I mean, he's out there with Freedom Force International, and I urge everybody to go and look at that and become a member. The word empire hasn't changed, but the word American has. And I don't want to be, you know, I want to live in a free country. I don't want to be subjected to an empire. I want to be living under a constitution. I think the Constitution's got good, you know, good format, and we pretty much all agree to that. I don't agree to some empire thing and corporatocracy, because I don't know, I didn't vote for those people, and I don't even half the time know who they are because they keep changing. You can't keep up with it, and that's why there's one simple piece of paper we have, you know, with the Declaration of Independence, and we got our Constitution and our Bill of Rights, and you know, one thing I like to say is that we've traded our Declaration of Independence for dependence on corporations, and our Bill of Rights for corporate rights.
You know, corporations or business itself, I don't know if you agree with this. My personal opinion is that they're not bad, you know, entities, and they're not bad institutions. But the problem that we have in kind of, you know, even observing with the Occupy Wall Street movement is that's not the only problem. When you have legislation saying that it's illegal to collect rainwater, you know, and things like this, where corporations and the government are working together for profit and whatever else, I think that that's what really promotes a dangerous atmosphere.
Absolutely. If I want to have a corporation and you have your corporation, that's fantastic. I hope you do really well. I hope I do really well. I hope, but this has gone past that. In my corporation, I couldn't dream to buy the government, to buy votes with the government. Now, these people that are these corporate entities, they have trillions of dollars, and they are doing that. And that is what's wrong. That's the difference. You know, when you and I have a corporation, we're trying to abide by the laws, and because we're not these multinational, multi-billion, trillion-dollar corporations that are forcing the government to let them do whatever they want. That's the danger here, Cameron and Barack. That's the danger, and I wouldn't run my corporation, you know, that I would be buying votes. That's, you know, these people are kind of groomed, and they're beholden to these big money powers. So who I vote for, I want them to be able to have the power to go to Washington and give my point of view. That, yeah, here we are in California, and we demand we want to be able to save our rainwater because the price of water is way expensive. But what happens when I send my guy there or my woman? They're going to listen to the corporate mind frame, the corporate want, the corporate desire. And that might be to say, no, the people in California can't save their rainwater, as one issue, let's say, because that takes them, that turns their profit off. You know, every time that little tap turns on, they get money. And if it's connected to the smart meter, they know exactly, you know, how much water you're using and how much, you know, they're just starting to take notes on all this stuff and get files together, and eventually they're going to be able to just say, hey, no, you're using too much, or, you know, even if you don't even use a certain amount, you're going to get charged a certain amount. We don't know what they're going to exactly do, but it's not right. When we didn't vote for these people, for them, these corporations, to be dictating the laws of our nation. And I will not stand for that. No American should stand for that. No patriot will stand for that. But we have to know how it looks. We have to educate ourselves.
So, Patrea, something you said, patriot, I think when you talk about these bad corporations and things, and I used to always wonder, like this is 5-7 years ago, when I was like, why are these corporations so big and these other guys, and it never changes? These same corporations have been big for so long, and I didn't understand why that was. And I think you guys might have heard this quote too, when you, speaking of patriots, is the quote from Thomas Jefferson when he says, if the American people ever allow private banks to control the issue of their currency, first by inflation and then by deflation, the banks and the corporations will grow up around them and deprive the people of all their property until their children wake up homeless on the continent their fathers conquered.
That's exactly right. And that's why I made this film, because we tie it together. You know, how did these corporations get so big? What allowed that to happen? And I guess you got to go see the movie to find out.
And where can people find it?
Well, we're just coming out on video on demand, and hopefully on Netflix and on DVD very soon with the worldwide release. But I say you've got to go to our website, www.americanempire.thedocumentary.com, to keep abreast of it, because I don't know the exact day that's going to happen. But boy, the second we get these DVDs, we've got to get them out to everybody. From people who have seen the film, they're saying, I need 30 copies right now to just give out to people. The good thing about this film is that it is a new it's a new version, it's a new outlook on how this all fits together. And you know, it's kind of brought down to a small 90-minute film so that you can understand it. You know, we know we don't want what they're putting down. What they're putting down it restricts our freedoms. It's taking away the independence of our country. All these big entities have this control, and we have to look at how did they get so big, and what are we going to do to get back our community values. So that's the beauty of community, because if it's a community, you know, you have some control. You kind of know the different people, and that should be our job, is to know our community. I know I wasn't alive way back when in the early part of the century, but people very much valued the community, and there was strength in that. And we in losing that community value, we lose many things that go along with it. and maybe they're wrapped in nice shiny packages. Like, it's just so easy to walk, go down to the market, you jump in your car, and everything's there. And so we're sold convenience, and we need to be aware that sometimes, maybe it's going to be a step better to go to a bank that's a little smaller bank and costs a little, like a credit union or something, that you actually have a piece of. Start joining a CSA, where they deliver you organic food, so you're not being poisoned. You can look at, at the end of the movie, on our website, we do plan to have, like, here's the answers, do these things. You don't have to do them all. Just find one that's comfortable with you, but doing something is better than doing nothing.
When you're talking about how do we get, I guess I have a few friends who think that they see the bad corporations. I think a lot of people say these bad corporations, but then you've got some people who say, well, let's have more government, and we need the government to fix what the corporations have done. What do you I guess say to those people who want the government to come in from a top-down approach and try to fix our community?
Yeah. That is exactly the problem, because we're in a catch-22. We're enabling the very system that is taking away our freedom and our rights, and our Constitution is getting squandered. So, yeah, it's okay to have, like we said, a corporation is fine, but, to keep wanting a government to come in and get bigger and more power, that's not going to work. It's the same thing as, right now, asking our government to pay, buy our way out of the debt that we're in. They keep printing more money and lending it out through the World Bank and to these big corporations and to big entities and to defense and all this stuff. You can't spend your way out of debt, and we can't make our government bigger to control all this stuff. That's just not how it will work. We have to be the leaders. We have to take control. We have to see that. And that's why community is so important, because you and your community are the leader. And your neighbors got to learn to be the leader. And your kids have to learn to be leaders. And we need to take our country back. We need to do it now. And we need to start seeing films like this, or at least this film. You can't see every documentary. So see American Empire, because it puts it all together. And you're going to move forward. You're going to be angry. You're probably already angry, but you don't know how to articulate it. But it's okay to be angry, and it's okay also to laugh about the situation we're in. It's a joke, but it's a joke, and we're paying for it. And how long are you willing to do that? How long are you willing to be really enslaved by this system? I know we don't want to admit it, because we think we're in a free country, but when you look at what we're paying in taxes and paying in the price of food and the different things and the different ways this slavery comes down, you are spending all your time working just to survive. So, and it doesn't even matter, sort of the bigger house you have, then you're paying more and you're still, working harder.
What I'm glad that you brought up is that this gridlock, what you're talking about with the checks and balances within our government, and it's disheartening to me to hear the rhetoric talking about how, well, Congress isn't willing to do this, and we have to go to the Supreme Court for this and whatever, and they're disappointed, and I'm happy about that. The gridlock is meant to be that way. If you wanted an efficient government, you would just have a dictator. But what I would encourage, and I wonder if this is kind of to your point, is that if you want action at a local, whether you're talking politically or whatever, you can actually get some stuff done, and fairly quickly, at the local level. And I think when in the goal of destroying collectivism, and understanding independence, to have a community full of individuals that understand what's going on, I just can't imagine it, and hope to really see that one day.
Well, I think that is the important thing. In your community, people are going to start to know you and trust you. And when you, explain this, especially after you've seen American Empire, you've got a tool there where you see the curtain is pulled back, and it's like in The Wizard of Oz. And so once in The Wizard of Oz, once the curtain was pulled back, well, Dorothy and the lion and the Tin Man, they weren't fooled anymore. Even though the little dog was sharp enough to figure it out, hey, look behind here. This is a joke. And this is a big, scary joke. Once that curtain was pulled back, they knew, and they couldn't never go back, and they couldn't be fooled anymore like that. Might be fooled another way, some other way down the line, but not by that, not by the wizard, not by that. And that's where we are today. And the scary thing is that we've got to pull this curtain back now. The film American Empire does that. But we're going to have a window of this window of opportunity only open for so long. And once it closes, there won't be any more.
I don't know, Patrea. You kind of sound like a conspiracy theorist. I'm not sure if there's ever been people who wanted to control others or anything like that throughout history. That's never happened.
Well, when there's a dollar to be made, at this point, it's trillions and trillions, and it's really not about the dollars. It's about what the dollars give you, right? I mean, with that money, what do you own? These people own now massive, massive wealth in their corporations. They own the power to make or break this planet. They own the power to take us off the cliff, or to push us off the cliff, or, that is why we had a constitution. That's why we came to America. If we wanted to live in a dictatorship, I guess we could have just stayed, people could just go running off to that country if they liked that. That's fine. I don't care if somebody wants a dictatorship, but I don't want that here in my country, in America. This is the greatest nation on the earth, and it has the potential, and it started out to be a place that at least had the guidelines of this Constitution and freedom. And we still have the opportunity to make this the greatest nation in the world, instead of a nation that's out there right now taking the resources of the rest of the world and selling them back to us as cheap stuff, making us consumers and slaves, because that's all that we have offered. We can't, we're not making our own good stuff here anymore. And it's a real shame. So I want to be one of the ones that's standing up there. When my kids go, "What the heck were you doing?" I go, "Hey, I made this movie, kid. I'm doing something. Cameron's doing something. Brock's doing something. Let's get more people out there doing something. Don't, I'm the leader, but you're the leader just as much as I'm the leader. We all are the leaders. We all are Americans. Let's do our part. It doesn't take 100% of us either. It only takes a small group of us that lead the way. The rest will follow. They can, and that's okay. That's okay. But we have this life, and this is going to be the thing that makes or breaks this country right now. In the next 20 years, there will be, unfortunately, there won't be, another chance. And so, I don't want to say it's a conspiracy. This is a controversial issue. It's the biggest controversy we'll face, and we need to get people on board. Dedicate your life to it. More power to us, and it's too important to not jump aboard right now, people.
Well, to your point about it doesn't take everybody. It didn't take everybody to put us in the current state we're in. It just took a very small, willed group of people, strong-willed group of people, to put us where we are. So I think the point's right. But anyone listening, this is your call to action. Take a view and watch this video, this film. Spread it, share it. Work within your communities. Here's your call to action. We talked about, even actually enough, you talked about how the words that are used and kind of how they changed around in earlier discussion. But patriot is one of those. It seems that the assumption is a patriot is anyone that will go along with whatever the government or the puppets want to do. But no, that's not it. It's about keeping our rights. It's about branching out and waking people up to this. And so the website is AmericanEmpireTheDocumentary.com. Check it out on Netflix on demand as it comes out. Also, is there anything else that I'm missing? Anywhere else they can find you?
Well, yeah, we also have a Facebook page. I would love if everybody that's out there joins into the Facebook page. We are American Empire. We come up as a globe with, instead of the beautiful countries we used to have, the globe is full of corporations. So it's a very iconic poster. You can't miss it. It's the Statue of Liberty holding up this globe of corporations. And we just don't want to see that happening to our country. We've been under the illusion that we had a free country. Let's go for it. Let's have one, And if we have to step out of our comfort zone to get it, then so be it. But it's going to be the biggest, most important issue we face in our lifetimes. So we can't pass this moment by. This is too important. Too important, people. Please.
It's a very exciting time to be alive. It really is. There's a lot going on.
That's why I say, this is the most important time. We're living in exciting times. We have the internet now. We can share this information with other people. We can empower our friends, empower our community, and really change this around. And we've got to. There is no other option. There is no other. There is no other America.
Well, the good thing is that there are people out there like you, Patrea, with all the work that you've been doing. Very grateful for this hard work. I know it takes a lot of dedication, a lot of time, a lot of resources to put something this great. She pointed out there is a small window of opportunity, but that means that there's opportunity. So stay hopeful. We can make a difference. You got to work on your independence and with your community. So anyways, Patrea, I do want to thank you for coming on and spending so much time with us. Again, the website is AmericanEmpireTheDocumentary.com. Find them on Facebook and Netflix and on demand. All those good stuff, all those resources, that wonderful internet. We can spread it. So again, thank you for coming on.
My pleasure. Go America.
Thank you, Patrea.
All right. Thank you. Okay, remember, own your life. You own it. No one else does. Thank you.
Absolutely.
UnleashIndependence.com